Hypnotic World Epicenter, MikeMandelHypnosis.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Mandel from MikeMandelHypnosis.com, and I'm going to show you a really cool thing today and a couple of ways of producing a very interesting hypnotic phenomena, which is name amnesia. Name amnesia is startling if you do it in street hypnosis or on stage, and if you do it in a therapeutic practice, it's a great convincer to show your subject they were indeed in a phenomenally deep hypnotic state. Because think about it, what is more personal to you than your own name? And if you're standing there going, you can't remember your name, something has definitely happened. It's a remarkable phenomenon to create, and whether you're one of our students in the Hypnosis Academy, you already know how to get people in a deep trance, or whether you're a person who's approaching this for the first time, you're going to need to have the person in a sufficiently deep trance to make this work. If you don't know how, check out MikeMandelHypnosis.com/power inductions. But enough said about that. When you create what is known as an amnestic loop, you are denying the subject the ability to gain access to a particular part of their experience. Now, memory is stored in a protein molecule in your brain, protein kinase C. But that doesn't matter to you. What matters is how can you wipe it out, at least temporarily. And it only will be temporary, no matter what you do. Now, there's two different ways I have caused name amnesia for the last 40 years. And I've done this hundreds, if not thousands of times, and I'll tell you two methods that absolutely work. The first method is direct suggestion. You get someone in a somnambulistic trance, and again, my students know how. If you don't know how, check it out. Once they're in that somnambulistic trance, by necessity, you have them at the point that you can cause them to forget their name. And I like to use a bit of shock to make this happen. So I'll be talking to the person. I've already had them in and out of trance a number of times, and they can even be ostensibly wide awake now in front of an audience. I just jump at it. I tap them on the forehead and say, "What's your name?" "You can't remember." Just like that, really congruent. I get right in their face. I'm not yelling at them, but I say, "What's your name?" I tap them on the forehead and say, "You can't remember." And I maintain eye contact with them, and I shove the microphone I'm using if I'm on stage in their face, don't hit them in the teeth, and let them go, and they won't have it. It'll be gone. You're creating something called a PGO spike, and they'll forget it for a couple of seconds. Your job now is to make sure they still forget it after that couple of seconds. And here's how. This is my innovation. When they start to look around, they're doing a trans-derivational search, they can't remember their name, you immediately, 2, 3, 4 seconds after you've done this, shove the microphone back in their face and say, "Take your time." When you do that and look at them congruently with a blank expression, it puts them around the loop again. And they look everywhere except for where their name actually is. Phenomenal. And then you can bring it back through whatever means you want. So directly shocking them. "What's your name?" "You can't remember." Take your time. Powerful. Use it. It works. In the street, this will be phenomenal. On stage, it's amazing for the audience. Now, like I said, you can use it therapeutically in a therapeutic setting if you're a hypnotherapist to amaze your subject, and that'll build your credibility like you can't imagine. But there's another way too. The second method of causing someone to forget their name is much more subtle, and it's really freaky. And I've used this one since 1975. It gets a great audience result. They'll be amazed at what you're doing. First of all, instead of coming at this with a direct suggestion, I boot up the circuitry in their mind. I boot up the psychodynamic process of forgetting by talking about forgetting. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Forgetting is active. Not remembering is passive. They're not quite the same. But in any case, here's how you approach it. I'll say to the person something like, I pretend I got a microphone in my hand. You ever have one of those times that you're somewhere in a big parking lot with a bunch of friends, you park your car, could be somewhere like Disney World, and then you come out and nobody's paid attention and you can't remember where you parked your car. Now notice I'm putting an embedded command. I'm pointing and saying, and you can't remember. I'm looking at them and saying where you parked your car. This is a universal experience. We've all had this. So they go, "Yeah, I've done that." And I say, "Me too. Forgetting is a normal part of life." And then I'll say, "Or have you ever had one of those times," again, imaginary microphone here, so you get the timing. "You ever have one of those times where you put your keys down or your wallet down and you go, 'What did I do with that? I just set that down a minute ago.' And you can't remember where you put your keys?" And the person goes, "Yeah, I've done that." "Me too. Forgetting is a normal part of life," right? You agree? And they're agreeing. And then I'll come in a third time and do something similar. You meet someone on the street you haven't seen in years and you know them and you know them, but you can't remember who they are. Have you had that happen? Yes. Yeah, you can't even remember their name. It's so weird. Yes. Forgetting is a normal part of life. Now, I've reinforced the whole thing of forgetting is normal about 2 or 3 times. Now there's a beat, a little bit of a pause, and I'll suddenly say, "By the way, what was your name?" I put the microphone in their face. My face is blank and I look at them. Now here's what's happening. When I say what was your name, I put it past tense. In other words, not what is your name, what was your name? It now disappears. And the person will do the transderivational search with their eyes, try to get the information unsuccessfully, and I'll do the same thing as I did in the first example. Take your time. I shove the microphone in their face, they're in front of an audience, they're under lights, they're in shock, and the name is completely gone. So the two methods are direct suggestion, what's your name? You can't remember. Stick the microphone in their face, after which you of course then say, take your time. And the second way boots up the circuitry by talking about forgetting and getting them to agree with you that there are many times they have forgotten things, and you're reinforcing that that is a totally normal thing. And then you don't even tell them to forget it. You just say, by the way, what was your name? And watch what happens. Astounding. If you're one of my hypnosis students online, you already know how to get people into deep trances so you can produce this amazing phenomena of name amnesia. If you're not there yet, you don't know how to do this, go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/power inductions, because we have a free tutorial for you there that shows you how power inductions work and how instant and rapid inductions work, which is a great beginning place to get people into the kind of trances to produce this phenomena.
The Hypnotic World Epicenter, MikeMandelHypnosis.com.